I have a confession to make. I love monster movies. Like a lot. I love to see giant things destroy highways, buildings, and other giant things, mechanical or not. I don't care that the Transformers movies are widely lambasted. Does Optimus Prime fight Megatron? Does Shockwave say Optimus in a badass voice?
Optimus!
Does Optimus ride Grimlock? Does he give an optimistic speech at the end of the movie?
Into the cosmos. Let those who exist long after us know that this was our finest hour.
Love that guy. Goosebumps every time.
The answer to all of those questions is a resounding yes. Do I want to see Godzilla and King Kong wail on each other and then team up against Mecha Godzilla? Of course. Do I want to see Godzilla use his atomic breath on the Muto, destroying them from the inside? Only a liar would say no. There's something deeply satisfying about giant monster movies that I want to explore. What is it about them that makes them so fun? People drag them, but these movies make hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office, which means that they sell tens of millions of tickets. Some people think that that's a mark against them, that any movie that's popular must be bad because it's for the quote-unquote lowest common denominator. Those people are cynical losers though. They should know that quantity has a quality of its own. Consider the following. 1. Movie ticket and concession prices are very expensive. 2. You need to commute to the movie theater in the first place, which is inconvenient. 3. You need to see which friends are free when, which means logistics. And 4. You're probably going to eat afterwards, which means spending more money. All that when you could pull up a video like this one in the comfort of your own home and save yourself some hassle. But then a Transformers movie is released and it makes hundreds of millions or more than $1 billion at the box office. Or a Godzilla or Kong movie is released and it also makes hundreds of millions at the box office. Or a giant sandworm movie is released and it also makes hundreds of millions. There are movies that people are happy to inconvenience themselves physically and financially for, and I don't think it's because they're masochistic. It's because these movies speak to us on an instinctual level. Monster movies, and I'm using the term very loosely here because you can also apply it to many epics, monster movies tap into the sense of awe in all of us. Now that might sound a bit woo-woo, but bear with me for a minute. We, as people, have a thing for awe, for scale, for that which is larger than us, either natural or man-made. There's a reason why people climb great heights, travel to the depths, or jump from near space. And there's a reason we're impressed by it. The endeavor represents something big, something grand, something great. These are all things that impress us, inspire us, or awe us. Part of it is just how unusual it is. I live in a hilly area and go for walks in said hills, but it's not impressive and no one would be impressed by it. It's not unusual. But climbing Mount Everest, the highest peak in the world, diving the Challenger Deep, the deepest point man has yet gotten, walking on the moon, the furthest we've gotten, all of these things, highest, deepest, furthest, represent extremes, and extremes, for all their issues in politics, do represent the utmost for humanity in their endeavors. They're big challenges that humans have overcome, and if there's one thing we, as humans, love to see, it's watching someone overcome a challenge. The scale of the thing directly impacts the appreciation of its conquest. Now, as an aside, scale also scales up and down. A personal triumph is just as satisfying and can be grand for the person involved. In real life, it could be someone that was unable to walk finally taking their first steps. That's grand. On the big screen, it could be a revenge movie like John Wick. When John exacts his revenge, it's a cathartic release for the viewer. He's accomplished something impressive, something grand, and we're duly impressed. In fact, John Wick is a monster in his own right. But film is a visual medium, and as visuals stick with us, it's understandable why giant things, kaiju, dinosaurs, mechs, etc., stick with us for the long run and why they're so popular. See, scale is a universal language. Every country tries to do big things. the biggest military, the tallest building, the most people, I guess, and so on. While things like happiness and quality of life are debatable, how tall or big something is less debatable. It's easy to understand because it's easy to see. Whereas I might need to explain John Wick to someone, I can show a single frame from Godzilla -1 or Pacific Rim or Jurassic Park to someone and they will immediately understand the situation. Giant thing is wreaking havoc and must be stopped. Monster movies are filmic in a way that small movies like dramas or comedies or romances aren't. They are utterly visual, and even if they were silent, you would still be able to follow them. The panic in the eyes of the people, the military intervention, the snarling of a monster, it makes it obvious as to what's going on. Some people put subtlety on a pedestal and think that a movie like Transformers or Pacific Rim, because they're not subtle, can only aspire to be brain-dead entertainment. That's just not the case. Subtlety does not mean good, just like dark and gritty don't mean good. They're simply affectations, descriptors of a quality, not of quality. If all you can say is that a movie is subtle, then you haven't said anything at all. Movies must work on multiple levels. If all they do is subtle character or story well, then they've still failed at a fundamental level. Story and character can also be developed through the written word, and oftentimes better. Just read a book at that point. Any movie that doesn't utilize all the gifts that movies grant, interesting ways to work with video, audio, computer graphics, and so on, is a movie that could have done more, but didn't. Monster movies are the output of thousands of man-years devoted to crafting one giant multi-hour block of entertainment. It requires a number of moving parts and seems like a logistical nightmare to organize. The production is a monster unto itself, and the craft these people put into these movies is admirable, if nothing else. When I see Optimus Prime transform, or when I see Godzilla walking through a city, I can't help but think about all the work that went into making the movements and transformations seem seamless. All that effort and money spent just to give us 2 joyous hours in movie theater. If nothing else, that, on its own, is worth respect. Monster movies are like pizza. Even when they're bad, they're good. It's a good thing, then, that so many are so good, and I hope they continue to get better and grander.